Hello and welcome back to KTV's coverage of the Kent Union Student President debates. I'm Tarini Tiwari, I'm Editor-in-Chief of Inquiry Media, and today we're going to be speaking to 4 candidates for Kent Union President. So we're going to start with all of your opening statements. So Zed, why don't you kick us off?
Lovely. Thank you so much for having me. Hi everyone, my name's Zed and I'm running to be the next Kent Union President. I'm a Medway student originally, so I studied 3 years there, and then I'm doing my year in data analytics course here. So I have a good feel of both campuses, giving me a wider view and an understanding of how the university works and what issues are faced by students in both campuses. I have been really involved this year with my long list on my CV. So I've been part of the activities network. I'm the Vice President of Respect the No, President of the Medway Business Society, and I'm a student trustee on the Board of Trustees at Kent Union. So I understand the processes inside out. And I believe I have the skills and the experience to really get into Kent Union and hit the ground running and make sure I make some real change. So if you believe that too, I'm Zed and I'm the choice for change.
Thank you so much. Favor, your opening statement.
Thank you. Guess who's back again. Favor's back. Tell your friends. So, of course, I am currently your Welfare and Community Officer, going for a step higher, your Student Union President, next week, Thursday. I've achieved so much in my current role, from student safety to mental health support, and I'm ready to take it up a notch. So if you want to vote for job security, support, and of course, some savings, I'm your person. Thank you.
Thank you. Ishmael.
Hi, I'm Ishmael Abdi. I'm in my 3rd year in marketing, and I was a former diversity officer at the Kent Business School, and I was a former social media officer at Kent Business School. I'm an individual that has been a wide range of activities in the social media society, and I've been wide ranging in terms of my skill set. I really want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable and safe at university, and with the rising cost that's occurring all across the UK, I want to touch on affordability and make sure that next year everybody can afford a university, no matter what you are or who you are.
Thank you so much. Finally, Nibin, your opening statement.
Hi, my dear friends. I'm Nibin. I'm currently studying MSc Actuarial Science. I'm a new student compared to all my other contestants. But I'm seriously believe I have good experience in leadership. When I was studying in my school, I worked as a school leader, and then I moved to my college days. I worked as a college union general secretary. Also, I worked with too much NGOs, and also I have too much good academic experience. Currently I am studying actuarial science. After I came here, University of Kent, I see a lot of difficulties students those who are facing inside the campus and also outside the campus. I'm a fearless leader. I can raise your voice in front of any authorities. I'm ready to raise your voice. If I elected as a Kent Union President, you all are elected as Kent Union President because we work together. We want to raise the voice of today and tomorrow. Students are the leaders of current world. In this election contest, I'm sharing 3 thoughts. One is against the climate change. Second is eradication of poverty. And current days, we are facing too much difficulty related to war. War is not a solution, so we must raise the voice for everyone. Everyone has dignity. We respect them. All the best, and thank you.
Thank you. Great. We're going to jump into some questions that all of you can answer. Starting with, so the student population is very diverse. How would each of you ensure you represent all students at the University of Kent? So let's start with Zed.
I think one of the great things we already have are liberation groups at the university. I'm part of the activities network, but there are many other networks that represent students from diverse backgrounds. So accessibility network representing accessibility needs. We have the LGBTQ plus network, the BAME network, the women's network. These networks are there to be supported, and if I was president, I'd really give them the support that they need to reach out to their groups and to really get a feel of what students want. We want to hear the diverse voices. I know myself, being in Medway as well, it was so diverse and it was so lovely to meet people from all different backgrounds and all different cultures. So I really want to bring that to Kent Union. I believe with diversity comes a lot of new ways of thinking, a lot of new ways to move forward. And that's really important for Kent Union. We want to make sure we represent every single student, not just the people that vote in the elections, not just the people at Canterbury, people from all campuses and from all walks of life.
Thank you. Favor, how
Thank
about you?
Thank you for your question. So I know that with the liberation groups normally fall under the welfare role. So in supporting the welfare officer next year and ensuring that they have the capabilities and the time allocated for these networks. But one thing I really want to emphasize on is, of course, we have our post-grad campuses in Paris and Brussels, and they're not very much supported at the moment. So I know that during presidency, we'd make an active reach to these campuses, as well as Medway, of course, because Medway is very diverse and it's a beautiful campus. So ensuring that everyone's included, because of course Kent Union's core values is, of course, inclusivity. So yeah.
Thank you. How about Ishmael?
I would deal with this. As a former diversity officer during the Black Lives Matter movement, I've seen a vast array of people's concerns regarding racial discrimination and their fear that whether their differences, they're going to be discriminated upon when they're on campus. Because of that, I was able to actually develop a system in order for the university to deal with such inquiries, and that helped raise so many people's voices in our community. As an individual, as myself, a BAME individual, and being supported by the BAME network, I want to ensure that every single person's voice is raised to the highest of its capabilities. And I want to make sure everyone's not just heard, but feels a part of the community through activities and events that we'll be running through next year and this year, of course. And through raising their voices, I want everybody to feel like they can be a part of us and therefore feel like they have a brighter future at this university.
Thank you. Finally, Nibin.
Yes, I think I came from the most diverse nation, India. So I know how the diversity is working. As I'm an international student here, I'm working with all the students inside UK and outside UK. So I have lots of experience with sharing and mingling with them. As I am elected as a leader, Kent Union President, I'm not be the voice of only a single student. I am be the voice of all the students inside the campus. So in which student facing too much difficulty, I be the voice of them. I'm ready to hear them, and I am ready to raise the voice for them. We always addressing the issues and their rights, not thinking about any kind of discrimination or anything bad or anything like. We always projecting the rights of the students and which difficulty they are facing. If I am a responsible leader, I'm ready to hear them and I am ready to work them. So this time I think this is great opportunity to mingle with others. I can raise the voice of them, and this campus is very amazing campus, 20,000 students. If I elected as a Kent Union President, I'm the voice of 20,000 students. 20,000 students have 20,000 perspectives and 20,000 ideologies and different things. They are facing too much difficulty related to their academic and non-academic side. So definitely I will raise the voice of everyone without any discrimination.
Thank you. I'm going to keep switching up the order of how you speak, so you're kept on your toes. What is the first change that you're most excited to integrate when you become president? So let's start with Ishmael this time.
Right, so the first change I want to implement is affordability. I want to advocate for a discount accommodation for university students who earn below a certain income. The reason for it, as an individual whose family came from having difficulties with income, I understand about affordability and being able to actually come to university. It's a great challenge to afford the textbooks, to afford the rising accommodation costs and the rising living costs across the entirety of the UK. That's why I want to advocate for these policies to ensure that everybody feels most comfortable at university and therefore they can reach their true potential, and they shouldn't be limited by their income or their background or where they came from in their past. I want everybody to be able to rise to their truest potential, and from advocating for that position, I feel like I can achieve that.
Thank you. Favor.
Thank you. The first thing I definitely look into is our ongoing work with costs on campus. So looking at the costs in our co-op, our shop on campus, looking at hidden course costs, as well as looking at where our money goes as tuition fees and maintenance loan. So that's it. I'll look into the current reviews that we have going on.
Great. Nibin.
Yeah, if I elected as second union president, in my mind, I have too much plans, but my first priority is the academic work and also in non-academic work. Currently, we are moving in isolated societies, so we are affecting the COVID-19 after we did not have the socialization venue. So inside the campus, we want more cultural and sports activities, inclusiveness of every student. If I elected as Kent Union President, I give the priority for the socialization and more events conducted inside the campus. And also some students are facing some difficulties in their academic works, So I want to make some booth inside the campus for doubt solving session for the students. That really helpful for the undergrad and postgrad students. We can make a good relationship between the postgrad and postgrad research students to the undergrad students. That why makes their academic works more better. So these two things are my first priority if I am elected as Kent Union president.
Perfect. Thank you. Zed.
Thank you so much. I really do agree with all of the candidates. One of the big things is cost on campus and cost of living. We are in a cost of living crisis currently, and it's really, really important we focus on making university an affordable place. That includes co-op, that includes accommodation, and that's something I know that the current president, the current officer team, I think Favorable Back as well, is really, really working towards. My big thing is the first thing I want to do and hit the ground running with is the transparency behind all of these things. I want to make sure that people know what Kent Union is doing and how they're doing it and how they're representing the 20,000 students that we have at the university. I want to make sure that we have talks with the university to improve the way they communicate the changes they're making, way they communicate the reasons why they're doing it. It's really, really important because I don't think students are stupid. You know, they know what's going on. We're adults. We're studying for a degree. We understand how all of this works. We just need to be told about it. We don't want any secrecy. We want to know exactly where our money is going and what it's being spent on. And if it's not being spent in the right places, we have the right to be angry. And I want to be there to support that and to make sure that transparency and communication strategy is improved massively.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. Now, voter turnout is unfortunately often less than we'd hoped for it to be. How do you plan to engage with the wider student population once you're actually elected into the role? So let's start with Favor.
Thank you for your question. Now, I know that it's definitely a challenge that we've had, especially with my last campaign last year. So one thing I want to ensure that we do this year is reach out to those that don't tend to engage with Kent Union, those that just come to university for the degree, which is the main part, of course, but ensure that they have an active involvement in how the student body runs. So one way I'll definitely do that is going through our beloved societies, because there's so many people that are connected to our societies but not necessarily knowing that it's actually part of Kent Union and not the university. So if we can go through our societies as well as our divisions, because if you're not going to society, at least hopefully you're going to your lectures, right? So through divisions, through our societies, we can ensure that we can reach as the majority as we can from our 20,000 students. Thank you.
Thank you. Nibin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think nowadays it's very difficult situation for me. At least I'm too much busy with my all the academic works and also we are going to two phases. One is face-to-face classes and also online classes. If I think most of the international students currently access the online phases, so we run both the side of campaigning. We must address the students, those who are accessing the online classes and also offline classes. Yeah, I'm already a member of too much societies inside the unit, so I mingle with them. I share my idea, why I am contesting for this election. I share my thought. I never thinking end of the day result. I am thinking about what idea I am share to the students. If only one student accept my idea, I personally believe that's a big success of my election campaigning and everything. So I personally believe I'm raising the great voice of current situation in the world. So if one student is listen to my voice, that is the greatest achievement of this election. So I try to reach out maximum students inside the campus. I don't believe I can reach out to 1,000 students, but I will try to my best.
Thank you. Zed, what do you think?
I think engagement is really, really hard to tackle, and a lot of students really just don't care about the union, and it comes across, but that is a problem on the part of the union. They haven't clearly made themselves aware to these students and for them to understand what the union does. I think we have obviously our societies, our student groups, community action groups, sports teams, networks. These people are key active members of Kent Union and they play a really, really important role. But for the people that are disengaged, I think it requires more than following a formal route. Rather than, sending out little feedback forms or an Instagram story and things like that. Those things obviously work, but I think they want a more personable approach. And myself, I've been a student rep for 2 years. This year itself, I got a lot of my feedback that I bring to the boards informally from just having a conversation, just going out there and speaking to people and trying to understand what problems they're facing. Because people love talking about their problems. I know I love talking about my problems. Why wouldn't you? If you're frustrated with something, you want to bring it up. One of the best things like I've experienced so far in understanding people's problems, venue smoking area. I love going venue, so whenever I'm in the smoking area, I'll just be chatting to new people because I'm just that type of person, and I'll be hearing their problems with, a certain part of the society or with their course or, something that's happening in their division. And that's what a president should be doing. It should be a person who's really, really approachable, really understanding, and can actually be able to talk to these students on a personal level.
Thank you. Finally, Ishmael.
I think the reason why there's such lower turnout is, for example, that people feel really discouraged by the fact that they're seeing rising costs happening in the university. They see accommodation rising each and every year. They don't understand what Kent Union's actually doing to solve these problems. So they're thinking, even if I elect these individuals, will they actually do something for me? So that's why you have to actually engage with them where it all starts, in societies, dropping into social, to having a drop-in session at Kent Union, to ensure that people have that personal connection and understand what you're doing, having maximum transparency in the steps you're taking, how long it will actually take to achieve something, because realistically, it's not going to happen overnight. You have to understand how long it's going to take and what they actually want to get done. You have to have drop-in sessions. You have to ensure that every student has their voice feels heard. And you have to ensure that everybody feels like they're involved in the process. And when they actually see change being done, then you'll see higher turnout, because then they know it will be real change being conducted through their candidates. But if you don't see that change happening, you can't blame the actual individual that's feeling discouraged. You have to work every single day to ensure that they actually feel heightened in their ability to want to actually come and vote for the next time, or the next election.
Thank you, guys. Now, as restrictions ease and travel becomes more common again, how best can we integrate students across our UK and European campuses? Let's start with Nibin.
Yeah, I think we are going through a transition period. The world moving to 2 years before, we did not technologically this much advanced. So nowadays we are technologically advanced. We know every technology. The distance between people are very less. We are always engaging with everyone. If I'm sitting in UK, I'm connecting with my parents in India. So easily we can connect through this technology. I personally believe students, those who are studying in Brussels, or those who are studying in Medway or here Canterbury, we can easily connect them. And also we as a Kent Union, I personally think if I am elected, we want a student exchanging program between our campus. If 1 month student exchange program, that's more engageable, and they get more opportunity to go different nations. A good experience. And also if any technological development and advancement came, the personal attachment is very big thing. So I think as a leader, I'm always promoting the idea of personal contacts and personal touch. That's it.
Thank you. Ishmael.
Well, I think the easy thing to ensure that all the campuses are connected together is having more events. For example, I want to create a welcome event on the first day in Freshers Week to ensure that everybody comes together outside the field in front of the library, and have wide-ranging events, bringing in people from Medway across other campuses and such, and then to have an exciting time for people to actually interact. I think one of the biggest problems that happened with coronavirus is that we all felt isolated in our own little bubbles. For example, I wanted to go and study in Amsterdam for a year, and I couldn't be able to do that because of COVID-19, and I think many people feel that. So now the people feel isolated. The people the year below, for example, didn't get to have a normal Freshers Week, and they didn't get to have that real interaction. So they feel disconnected not only from campuses, from different year groups. So we have to create more events in person, bringing events in Medway, events in Canterbury, and so that people feel connected again. And then once people feel connected again, then I think we can get back to going to a normal state.
Perfect. Favour, what do you think?
Thank you. Sorry, thank you for your question. That question is pretty loaded. So one way that we could definitely improve engagement in these cities is improving the trade in these cities. Now, one thing that I've been actively working on at the moment is looking to are our current campus shuttle bus. As Zed mentioned, a venue is popping on a Wednesday night, right? So I've been looking into seeing if we could have a shuttle bus that runs later on so that Medway students can come over to Canterbury for a good night out. But then again, you also want to look at Medway as a whole. How can we improve Medway? How can we improve Gillingham, the town? How can we ensure that students there are enjoying where they study? Similar in Paris and Brussels, looking at those campuses, looking at the surrounding areas, how can we possibly ensure that the students that are there, our own students, are enjoying their time there, that they've made a home away from home? That's how they'll be more engaged with their campuses, and not only campus, but more the people in the communities. We want to build better relationship between students and families in these cities that we have. Similarly, I think one thing that we need to look into in the next coming year is, of course, like you said, these restrictions are easing, right? More people are going for their year abroad, more people are going to Paris for their 1-year masters, more people are actually coming from France for maybe a term or a year. How can we support them financially? How can we possibly have these international hardship funds easier accessible, and maybe it's a thing where with these funds, because obviously it's hard for me to describe because I'm currently in the role, but making them more accessible, easier to fill out, easier to understand, especially for those that English is simply not their first language. So making things more accessible and improving the current area as to where these students are, in summary.
Great, thank you. And finally, Zed.
I do agree with some of the points that the candidates have made, and some of them not so much. I believe, like, this year, restrictions did ease and we slowly got into some normality, and we are hopefully achieving that. But people were still scared. So the welcome events that were put on, and I know I've helped put on some as well, they weren't as engaging as we'd like them to be. And that was, completely understandable. People are scared. People are, they've been locked in their rooms for 2 years. Obviously, you wouldn't want to just step out and, feel like everyone's really close to you. I completely understand. But when it comes to that, you have to really look at how you can ease their mind and how you can make sure that they're supported in that. That comes with SSW as well, with the student support and well-being, to make sure that they're supported in that sense. When looking at Medway, I believe I am the only Medway student in the candidacy. I think Medway is really, really amazing. The way the community is built there, people kind of stick together. Because we don't have a lot, we kind of just make it up ourselves, and we really try to have the best time. And it's really hard to feel connected to Canterbury, myself included. I didn't really get involved with Kent Union until my 3rd year. So knowing that, I want to engage with them more. I want to make sure that Medway is represented. Most people also don't know this, but the campuses we have abroad in Paris and Brussels are postgraduate campuses. That's, as a president role, you will be supporting the VP of Postgraduate Experience to be really supporting those campuses and making sure that their voice is heard, because they're their representatives. We want to make sure that people there have the resources to be able to reach out to Kent Union. Also, all 3 campuses have their own student union-like groups. So Medway has the hub, Paris and Brussels have their own little student communities, and those communities need to be supported and funded correctly to be able to provide the events needed in those campuses. Medway students would love to come up to Canterbury, would love to use the shuttle bus and go to venue and enjoy it, but it's a very long journey sometimes, and sometimes you just want something close to you. So why not invest more in having these events in these campuses to make sure students there know that this is their home. They can have a good time there rather than having to trek all the way up to Canterbury or, take a year abroad in Paris, that type of stuff.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to some questions that have been submitted to us, just because give them priority. This one's for everybody. Do you support democratizing the University Council in the interests of students and staff? So let's start with Zed.
I do. I believe the University Council, for most people who probably don't know, is the highest decision-making body at the university, and that includes the Vice-Chancellor, the executive team. It includes one student representative and the President and the Vice President of Postgraduate Experience. Now, that's technically only 3 students on the entire committee, which is not the best for student representation. We need to make sure that there are more positions available on University Council that are taken up by students, and by students who actually care and are actively involved in the university and want to make sure that it improves for all the generations beyond us. Change doesn't come quickly, but change takes a leader, and a leader is what you need, like me, to be able to make sure that students are engaged and to provide the experiences that they've had to improve it for the future generations.
Thank you. Favour, what do you think?
Thank you. I completely agree, because in council, it's so important that the student voice is there and it's prominent. And of course, you have the president who is leading the 20,000 students, but nothing beats having a student there that's given their real life experience, their real life story, and speaking directly to the highest governing body. It's so important. So I completely agree.
Great, thank you. Ishmael.
I always feel like democracy is the highest point that we need to reach. And I feel like, as everyone said here before, more student voices are what matter. It's good at having the president there as well, but having a wide reflection of students being there, being able to provide their voice and being there in the highest decision-making possible for the university is what is key, especially when there's decision-making that's taking place that students might not agree with. And to have a different perspective there also adds that counterweight, ensuring that everyone's voice is heard and the best decision happens.
Thank you. Vivin.
Yes, I have a different perspective about that, because first we need to change our Kent Union structure. The Kent Union first initially become the voice of every student. We need the representation inside our Kent Union. So after that, this representation, we got lots of difficulties and lots of voices from students directly, and we can project that inside the council. So council is the important governing body inside the uni. So we need more students' voice inside the council, but before that, we need to constitute a students' parliament inside the uni. If I elected as Kent Union president, definitely I raise the voice for the students' parliament inside the uni, and we need a powerful students' voice, because if a university is more movable or motionable, if we need more students' voice. Students are the leaders of this era. Students are the leaders of this world. So if we did not raise our voice here, where we raise our voice? So the the university council is important body. Before that, the Kent Union must know about what are the difficulties students, those who are facing inside the uni. If the Kent Union reflects that, we can project our point inside the council. The number doesn't matter. Who is your leader? That's the important thing. If your leader is more courageous, he is ready to talk for you, he is the right person. I personally believe I am the right person for that.
Thank you.
Add one.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So Kent Union, for people who are involved, we do have Kent Union Parliament, which is really, really important. I'm part of it as the Activities Network Chair. Favour is a part of it too. It's a completely democratic committee, and it's the highest governing body at Kent Union, so they make real decisions and real policy implementation into Kent Union. And all these people run for these positions. So you have 12 liberation networks, you have the 5 officers, and then you also have open undergraduate and postgraduate positions. So anyone can really apply and anyone can run in these elections to be part of Kent Union Parliament. And people who care about a certain issue really, really take lead on that. They get elected, and then they're able to create their whole network team to be able to provide the feedback for their group, such as the LGBTQ+ network. You have the accessibility network that bring in those needs and those voices to Kent Union Parliament. So anything we do, we take into consideration the needs of those students. And it's really, really important to take part in democratic processes and to really get your voice heard. If Kent Union can do that, it can set an example for University Council to be able to take that approach too.
Can I add a point?
Yeah, quickly, yeah.
Sorry. I'm not thinking about current running Kent Union Parliament. I'm talking about the representation of every classroom, the representation of every division, the elected members from every classroom, both the boy and girl from the classroom, and they are the representation of that classroom. If each and every classroom is individual spaces, they are facing different types of difficulties. If I am elected as a Kent Union president, I can't imagine what happened in Kent Business School or Kent Law School. I know something about inside my actual science department. I did not know about anything what happened in outside my environment. So if there we have a elected member from that division or that classroom, they can raise the voice. They can really raise the voice for what difficulties they are facing. I'm talking about that we need a new Kent elected Parliament for University of Kent?
If I may.
Going to probably have to move on to the next question.
The
Sorry.
student reps.
Yeah.
The student
Yes,
reps. Check out
thank
the
you.
website.
This next one's also a student question. It's been sent in for Ishmael specifically. How would you plan to implement your promises, as they all need serious financial backing and many of them require power that the union president does not hold, such as your promises on accommodation?
Right, so when it comes to accommodation, that's called for me advocating towards the university, gaining the support of university students to create real change through such as we've seen, for example, students were not very happy with the marking system, the marking boycott, and that created real change from them showing their voice to Kent Union, and therefore that actually pushed the decision forward. When it comes to the financial backing, it comes from having more events that are occurring at Kent Union campus. For example, when I was in my first year, the campus was packed in terms of Woodies and K-Bar, venue, etc. But because of the fact that due to coronavirus situation, many of the students in this year, in the first year and last year, didn't get to really experience the wide range of campus outlets that are on campus. Therefore, now there's not as many people entering into our campus. We're actually losing funding in that aspect. So creating more events and be able to create a welcome event, for example, that will bring in more people, and then promoting to them Wednesday, NXTs, promoting to them the wonderful outlets that we have, and creating more, actual events in Woodies, etc. That will bring in more funding, and therefore that can push for my actual candidacy in terms of me advocating for my policies. And then what we can't, where I don't have power for being president, I can advocate towards the university and use student voices to hopefully push change. And it might not come overnight, but for me advocating it, it's better for someone advocating it than not pushing for it at all. And that's what I would do every single day as your president, as a true leader.
I feel like Zed has something to say.
Yeah, of course. Let's start with Faber, because I didn't let you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I just wanted to, yes, this camera. I wanted to mention that, of course, we as Kent Union understand that there has been a massive decline in students spending money on campus, hence why we are currently reviewing our costs on campus and the transparency behind that. I wanted to also highlight to us that we have a brand new clothing store, which we have taken some student consultation about to find out what they'd like to see. So in terms of the financial side of that question, I think it's imperative to know that Kent Union are already reviewing that at the moment, and it's something that we're actively working on. In terms of accommodation, of course, we can lobby the university all we want and eventually make some change. But it's imperative to know that the lower ending costs of accommodation is being talked to stay at a fixed price. And of course, then we look at the higher end and see what we can do about that. But of course, with cost of living going up, these accommodations will also go up. So we're trying to find that balance per se. And I think it's imperative to know that we are currently working on that.
Thank you. Zed, do you have something to add?
Yes, I'm obviously echoing Favor's point. I know the current president is already advocating for the cost on campus and has in every single meeting mentioned it to the Vice Chancellor. It's really, really important to have that advocacy, and I do agree the president should be advocating for these costs on campus and costs in general. In living in a cost of living crisis, you have to look at the bigger picture and how you're able to actually make those changes. We can all make a lot of false promises, but it's the real change that you need to make real action for. A big thing is the University of Kent has dropped way below in the rankings, meaning not as many students are coming here to study. Not as many students want to come to Kent. We have to change that. When we change that and increase the number of students coming here, you're automatically increasing the funding that's coming to University of Kent. By that excess funding, those savings can then be passed on directly to students by reducing their accommodation costs, by reducing the cost on campus, like £3.75 meal deal in co-op. That's things we can do ourselves, but we need to make real change for it, and we need. That's something I've already taken into account as well, and we've discussed on the board of trustees at Kent Union on how we can make sure that students aren't financially in need. They're able to actually enjoy university without being in financial hardship,
If I may, as someone that's already a participant of the Kent Hardship Fund, I completely understand there's a rising living cost and it's hitting me personally. And that's why I'm actually advocating for these accommodation promises. In terms of that, I understand that the Kent Union president may not have the power to do such actions, but for advocating for it and bringing in more students to events and bringing in more funding for the university, of course we've seen that the university has dropped in rankings recently and stuff, but that is because of the fact that individuals, because they're online year and stuff like that, they may not feel as developed into the university system. And I want to bring in more funding for the university and actually help people like myself who have dealt with the rising living costs and actually make a change for the university. And I understand that's already been advocating for, but we need to find new methods in terms of actually helping people that are most in need, especially with one of my policies that I want to advocate for discounted accommodation for people on whose parents earn under a certain wage. That is very important. As someone that comes from one of those families, it's very difficult to come to university because of the fact that you have to deal with the financial hardship of being at university and plus the living cost. So that's why I'm advocating for these policies. And why it might not occur, I will fight for it every single day, and it's better to take those battles than sit back and not do it at all. And that is what I'm going to do as a true leader, to fight for it every single day.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to the next question. This one's actually for you, Favor. This one is from the LGBTQ plus student network. It says, this is a long one, I'm preparing.
Right.
How does it make you feel that the queer community and network has felt isolated all year, specifically from this year's Community and Welfare Officer? What makes you think you're qualified to be Kent Union president when you've ignored the network's community to the point where other Kent Union officers have stepped in? Do you really think you're ready to be president when you haven't met with specialised communities?
Great, thank you for your question. To answer that question, as a welfare officer, I completely understand that falls within the welfare remit. However, I'm so happy that my fellow officers are able to take that up and had an amazing History Month. I know that there was Rainbow Laces events and such other events such as that, and I'm very grateful for my officers to step in when I found work quite heavy at the moment. So that was great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add something?
Of course, yeah.
I think the big thing with networks is that people can run for it and be part of the networks. They really do require the support from all officers, and as a president you need to be able to make sure that the team that you're working with knows how they can manage that. And I think it's really, really important for the president position to make sure that every single network is represented. Even though it may not be in your remit, you're still there as the main figurehead and you're able to actually facilitate the communication. As part of the LGBTQ plus community myself, I know how difficult it is to sometimes get our voice heard and to make sure that we can stand our ground in some conversations and really bring our perspective to important decisions that Kent Union and the university make. And I've found that the university is inclusive and it is really, really good. It's a great place to grow and to really understand who you really are. And we need to keep supporting that, and that's where the networks and the societies come into play. The LGBTQ network do some amazing work. They worked so hard on the LGBTQ History Month, and I saw the amazing campaigns they did. The Speak Up, Lace Up campaign was beyond amazing, and it was so, so good to get the sports teams involved in that, where LGBTQ individuals may not feel comfortable joining sometimes, just due to societal pressures and the way that we've been raised, the way that society's been, manufactured. We need to make sure we take the right steps towards that and change that as a team, as a collective.
Sorry, someone through the comments for Favor has actually said that they didn't feel you've answered the question, and as a queer person, they're shocked at the response. So following up on it, considering the question says that they felt isolated all year, do you think that there's more you could have been doing throughout the academic year to, even if your workload is heavy, communicate with them as well as you had?
Thank you for your question. Absolutely, I definitely could have done more, and I'm grateful for the fact that it was done through other officers as well.
Okay. This next question is a student question for everybody. How many times has each candidate been to Medway, and what is their relationship with the campus? So let's start with Nibin.
Yeah, I never visit the Medway campus. Yeah, that's a real truth for me. But I have friends in Medway campus. Some students came from Medway to here for participating in the Global Awards, Global Skill Award program. So during that time, I mingle with them. Yes, there is lots of issues they are facing in the Medway campus. They like the Templeman Library especially, and lots of events happened inside the Canterbury campus. They miss that kind of events. So I never visit the Medway campus, but I know what are the difficulties facing the students, those who are studying in the Medway campus. If I am elected as Kent Union president, I will raise your voice inside the governing board and in front of the VC, because we need a change in Medway campus. They need a big library like Templeman. Also, they want too much events inside the campus. So if yes, especially we have access to the innovation center and different other places inside the campus. If you are a postgrad student, you can go to the Senate and you can access that 24 hours. And if you are a student, you can go the SIPSON and you can access the PC rooms and everything, every facilities inside the university. I think Medway campus have lots of deficiencies because the area is the biggest challenge and number of students is another challenge. And our main campus is Canterbury. We are always give the focus to the Canterbury campus. So yes, definitely we need more attention to the Medway campus. We address the issues came from the Medway campus. If I elected as Kent Union President, I will be with you and I will raise your voice.
Thank you. Ishmael.
Yeah, so I've actually never been to the campus on Medway. And actually goes to show, I was meant to go there in first year for an event. Unfortunately, I didn't attend in the end. But it kind of goes to show that there should be more events in Medway and actually how isolated our campuses are, for example, because I haven't really heard of much events going on in Medway. Obviously, there's a lot of guest acts occurring here and the venue, etc., that I've been hearing about. But there hasn't been a real reason as a Canterbury student for me to want to go visit there. And I think that's a real shame that we should be really working on is by bringing a network. Like what you said earlier about the shuttle bus system, having little shuttle bus for Wednesdays, etc. That same type of events happening at the Medway campus and trying to bring a more communicative aspect to it is something that really needs to be improved upon. And by that question, I feel like, yeah, we actually need to create more events for that system. And then, you know, hopefully more students next year can visit Medway, can visit Canterbury and have a very interlinked student university experience.
Thank you. Favour.
Thank you. I've been to Medway quite a lot, actually. I've been to Medway, I can't count it, but it's a lot. And one thing I know from Medway, especially doing a nighttime safety walk recently in the Medway campus, is that we really need to improve the lighting there. We need to make that campus feel a bit more safe, a bit more secure. Also, your comment about the library is quite interesting because that library is actually one of the longest building.
It's the longest library in Europe.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
The longest library in Europe. So it's incredible. It has so many historical features in Medway, especially the dockyard. So I think that it's not about necessarily not putting Medway on the map, but improving Medway for Medway students. Yeah, I've been Medway a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. Zed.
I've been waiting for this one, guys.
Yes, he has.
I am the only Medway candidate. I'm gonna make it plain and clear. I used to live in Medway for 3 years and I enjoyed a lot of it. And as the other candidates have mentioned, it's been isolated. It's not receiving the support that it could have. I think it goes a lot to show that many Canterbury students haven't visited Medway, primarily because the connection between them isn't the best. The shuttle bus is good, but it's more for students who might be living in Medway and studying here. I used to come here to visit Templeman Library all the time and then take the shuttle back at like 11 p.m. just so I could study here. But our library there was really good. I think what Medway really needs is the right amount of support and the right amount of representation. I think this year it's been a bit better with the officers visiting Medway a lot more than they have before. In my first year, second year, and even in my third year, I never saw a single Kent Union officer in Medway the entire time. This year, I've been seeing that, and it's been really, really amazing. I've been personally, sorry, I touched the mic. I've personally been the president of the Medway Business Society for 3 years straight, and I've hosted a lot of events in Medway. I've facilitated a lot of different things that kind of get the community involved. Just recently, the Medway Business Society has hosted a traffic light party, which had about 200 people show up, proper DJ, proper nightlife, like really get the people there involved. What we also have to know is that Medway isn't just University of Kent. It's the University of Greenwich and Canterbury Christchurch on one singular campus. And they have their own students' union called the Hub, which is a collaboration between Kent and Greenwich. So by having that, we need to make sure that Kent Union facilitates and finances that part of it to the right level to be able to give them the opportunities that they need to provide the experiences that students are missing out on and to provide a better communication between that campus and here.
Thank you. This is another question for everybody. How will you fight for all students to have more power at Kent? Following on from the question about democracy earlier. So let's start with Ishmael. run?
I think for people to have more power at Kent, I think one of the big things is transparency of which individual to talk to. Obviously, the university is massive, so being able to channel the feedback to the correct individual is very important for us to actually engage properly in terms of the communications. I think that what you have to do is also drop into the societies, gain feedback, so you actually understand what Kent should be fighting for in advocating for students, and then having those set list of priorities, and then being engaged with the university bodies and so on and so forth, to actually to empower students to gain a bit of voice in the university.
Thank you. Nibin.
Yeah, I already mentioned this thing. Yeah, we need a Kent Union Parliament for the students raising their voice inside the campus. We need the scientists, actuaries, and other artists, everyone. If 20,000 students studying inside the Kent University, each individual are different, each of them have their own dreams. Sometimes they are disappointed inside the campus because they can't fulfill their dream, they can't access proper way, they did not get the proper support from our lecturers and everyone. So if Kent Union acted as more democratic body, we can raise voice for them, we can support for them. If I'm a personally, I believe I want to become a good teacher and also a good entrepreneur. So I need a support for develop my skills in entrepreneurial level. So lots of students they want to become a business person. So if university provides such kind of support, yes, we have lot of support given by our Kent Business School, but students not aware about that. We have lots of events and programs inside the university, but students are ignore about that. If our Kent Union is more democratized body, we can send this message to each and every student. We can select the students from inside our campus. If I elected as Kent Union president, I personally believe I conduct minimum 4 events inside the campus, not me. That's only a minimum number. One is we need a cultural event, second one is we need a sports event, third one is we need a place, cinema, like that kind of event, and fourth we need a entrepreneurial or innovation level competition inside the campus. We know the female and male students ratio inside the campus, female ratio is too much high. So we need a women entrepreneurs from inside the campus. Women empowerment is very important thing. We always talking about women empowerment, that's on the papers and everywhere. We must support them and give opportunity them. Lots of students inside studying the campus, they have lots of abilities, they have lots of skills. If we support, we give just a pull to them, they are ready to do amazing work in front of us. So if I elected as Kent Union president, I democratize more and I democratize events more to the students, and they can access everything inside the campus. Now they can access, I know, but they did not know which way I can access. That's a questionable thing. If I elected as Kent Union president, I dissolve this issue and I always with them.
Thank you. Zaid, what do you think?
I think empowering students is really, really important, is giving them their voice. You know, we can be the officers and we can be their voice, but it's how do they find their own voice and how do they amplify that? As I've spoken about the networks as well, they're really, really important for student leadership positions because it gets people involved in fighting for specific issues that they're passionate about. I think when it comes to giving the power back to students, you want to support them in a way that they know that they can take up anything. They can take on the world and be successful at it. A big thing then moving from the democratization of the University Council is making people aware when we do reach that point and we do have a democratic University Council that students need to get involved to be able to get their voice heard. Students need to make sure that they know when the elections are, they know how they can nominate themselves, they know what support is available, they know what the University Council is about. It's education, empowerment, and really exceptional performance from Kent Union on their behalf. And we need to make sure that we represent them, but we also give the voice back to them and give them that power.
Thank you. And finally, Favour.
Thank you. Sorry, could you repeat the question, please? I think I heard a lot.
Yeah. The question is, following on from the earlier question about democracy, how will you actually fight for all students to have more power at Kent?
Okay, praise God, thank you. So, yes, one thing that I think has worked so well this year is our student consultation, especially on social medias. Of course, not being the only avenue, but nothing beats a pie chart of what has been voted yes and what has been voted no from Instagram. With the recent boycott, we had some student consultation, both on-site and online, and it was amazing because we saw so many students publicising how they feel concerning the boycott. And without doing that, we wouldn't know how students feel. We'd go off our own judgment. So as president, as officers, we need to know, how does a student feel about this move that's about to happen? Of course, as we've all kind of somewhat discussed, KU Parliament, which is the highest governing body in Kent Union. And currently we have 2 open graduate vacant roles, which is quite interesting because I had one of those roles last year. Well, actually, 2 years ago, whenever I did my master's. And it's amazing because you get to see what's happening on the inside. So promoting those roles, as well as our networks, as Zed rightly said. But it's also imperative to know that as a student, maybe you don't want that role. That's okay. We have student reps. Maybe you don't want that role. That's okay. But ensuring that we are accessible as officers through our social medias, through our emails, all these avenues to hear your voice and gather real live consultation, real life opinions, and putting that forward as your officers. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, since the earlier question, the chat has actually been quite volatile about the LGBTQ plus network situation, with students saying that at a time when the community is under consistent attack, clarity is necessary. Favour, can you name something you've done specifically for the LGBTQ community this year as welfare officer?
Okay, thank you. Wait, sorry, just repeat the
Can you name
question.
something you've done specifically for the LGBTQ community as welfare officer this year?
Okay, thank you. Like I said prior, my other fellow officers have played a vital role in the LGBTQ network and the History Month, so I did take a backseat from that.
Okay, so could you not name a specific thing you have done as welfare officer for the network?
No.
Okay, thank you. What will all the candidates do as president, therefore, to support the LGBTQ plus community during such a volatile time? Zed, don't you get us going?
I think myself, I know that I've already been really, really involved with the LGBTQ network, and I'm friends with all of the people in the network. I'm able to actually put my input in there, be a part of it, and really support them in any way they can. As the Activities Network, we really do work really closely together. Also with Carolina, who is the VP of Student Engagement, she has done a lot for LGBTQ History Month, and I supported her in that. And we were actually meant to host the LGBTQ plus quiz at Woody's, but I had a family emergency, so I couldn't do it. But then I got the LGBTQ network involved, and they hosted it, and it turned out to be an amazing event. And I think that's really the important part, is facilitating that support to provide them with the opportunities. LGBTQ plus individuals feel really attacked. We've come a really long way in the past decade to people being more accepting, to people really understanding the issues faced by the community. We're still fighting for people to take pronouns seriously. We're still fighting for people to understand what non-binary and trans people are. We're still fighting for trans rights in this country and around the world. I think it's really, really important that we take a stand on it, and we take a role that is exemplary, that people look to and like, this is where we aspire to be. Kent Union should be advocating for it in every single thing they do, period.
Thank you. Favour, how about you?
Great, thank you. So I'll definitely be supporting the new welfare officer in their role with working with the network. I think it's imperative that the officer is able to carry out all parts of that. I think one thing to highlight, though, however, is that there's so many different identity groups that all need the same visibility, including things that Women's Network, Faith Network, Accessibility Network, and the BAME Network.
Okay, thank you. Ishmael.
I think it's important to listen, to get involved in societies, to the networks that's been mentioned previously, and trying to understand what specifically that we can do to actually help those networks. And all people in those networks themselves understand it quite well. And by listening and taking on feedback, that we can actually adjust to what we need to do to actually help those people in need. Because it's terrible what is going on currently at this time, but we actually have to listen to what we need to do and then be able to act upon that necessarily.
Thank you. And Nibin?
Yes, I already mentioned the Kent Union is the voice of every student inside studying the University of Kent. So LGBTQ society facing lots of difficulty. I be elected as Kent Union president. I definitely raise their voice. I listen them what they are needing. I listen them. I came from India, so UK is more advanced society. I personally believe they accept the LGBTIQ society. And 5 years before I do my college magazine, we got the 3rd prize in university level competition. During that time, I chose my theme of my college union magazine is those who are people facing difficulties in transgender society and also the part of LGBTQ society. They are facing lots of difficulties. As an ordinary man, I did not know how much they feel. If we are working with them, we realize how much difficulty they are facing from the society and too much struggling inside them. So if I am elected as Kent Union president, I will give my 101% support to them, and what they need, I am always with them. If they want a social together events or they want any other supporting for their academic part or non-academic part or cultural part, or if they have good ability in different perspective or different area, I'm ready to support them in all the ways. If I elected as Kent Union president, I am with you and I will give my 100% and more than 100% for you, because you are the part of this society. You are the member of this society. You have the dignity. You have the power. You are the voice of University of Kent. You have the space inside this campus. You have, when you inside this campus, you have the freedom inside the campus. I am with you.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I'd like to obviously bring a point with Favor and all the other groups you have the BAME community, you have the women's networks, you have accessibility network, and these networks are really important. You need to amplify BAME voices because of the world we live in. We need to make sure POCs are heard and understood. We focus on decolonizing the curriculum. That's really, really important. Women's rights are really important. The gender pay gap, we have to focus on the issues. These issues are still issues we need to focus on. But the question in hand was for the LGBTQ community, and I don't think the LGBT, I'm really passionate about this, the LGBT community doesn't want acceptance. They don't want people to be like, yeah, we tolerate you. No, we want to be heard, we want to be listened to, we want to know that we have a place, and you have a place at Kent. As Libin said, you have a place here. I know that I found my place here. It's really, really important to have those voices heard and to really know that you have a president who supports that, who understands that, and who amplifies that. You need to represent every single group at this university, regardless of your race, your gender, your sexual identity, your ethnicity, anything. No identifying feature makes you different. We're all human at the end of the day. It just takes a little bit of humanity and compassion to just know that you can live your life however you want to live it. No one else has a say in it.
Thank you. This next question's from Aaron, who's an ex-Kent Union president, for everybody. What are candidates' thoughts and plans to engage with the National Union of Students and do work on national issues that affect students? For example, the new vision for education, student fees, and maintenance loans. So let's start with Faber.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. I'm so excited to work on these things because I know that it's an ongoing thing that we're looking at in Kent Union, costs on campus. So looking at where our tuition fees goes, looking at the transparency behind that, is our communications up to scratch as to where this money is going. In terms of the curriculum and education, working closely with the academic officer to ensure that Our curriculum is inclusive and our curriculum is current. At times we find ourselves teaching things that can no longer be applied in the workplace. So we need to review what are we teaching our students, how can we brush up on their skills and make sure they are fit for purpose going into the working world.
Thank you. Ishmael, what do you think?
So I understand the factors of people want more transparency where our tuition fees go to, especially last year when there was a great controversy about having an online year of university and should we be paying the exact same amount of fees as would be in-person learning. I understand we need more transparency in that aspect, and also in regards to the curriculum, as somebody that was a former diversity officer and having to greatly work on reading lists, etc., and finding out that many of the reading lists was not diverse at all. It was majority from one particular ethnic group, and it wasn't actually representative of anything. It could be from a book in India, and it wouldn't be written by an Indian person at all. And we have to ensure that we have more diversity and having more points of origin of where we have to have different perspectives. Because that's how we learn and we grow as individuals, is having a wide range of perspectives, and then we get better as individuals, and then we feel representative in our own course.
Thank you. Zed, what's your thought?
So I'm actually one of the NUS delegates this year, so I'll be going to the NUS conference and fighting on a national level for students. The new vision for education is a really, really good plan from the NUS that we need to implement. I feel like we had an NUS referendum where students sometimes actually felt that the NUS wasn't representing them nationally, and that's where we come into play. As officers and as students, we get to actually fight at a national level and lobby the government to make higher education more accessible. As we know, university fees have been increasing massively. From 10 years ago, someone doing their degree paid £0. Zero. Absolutely nothing to do their degree. We are paying a minimum of £9,250. That's just tuition fees. The costs are crazy and we need to focus on that. That's a massive, massive issue. And we have to lobby on a national level. We can't do stuff just here. We have to do it with overall the government and fight back. A massive thing as well is the decolonization of the curriculum. It's really, really important. I think we learn so much from textbooks that have been manufactured by the Western world. And decolonizing the curriculum isn't about taking away from the Western knowledge. It's about adding in knowledge that has been marginalized through colonization. It's about bringing in things that we haven't considered before because of colonization, because of racism, of embedded systematic racism in our society. And we need to change those things, not just here, not just at government, but societally, and focus on those things.
Thank you. And Nibin, what do you think?
Yeah, I already mentioned students are the leaders of the nation and the world and this universe. So the National Students' Body is the ultimate venue for the raising the voice for students. I think I want to raise the voice of international students, European Union students, and also UK students. These three kinds of students are paying different fees. Last year, I paid £60,000 as my fees. This year, the fees is increasing too much high. That's a very difficult one. Before I worked as a teacher, I personally believe education is not a business. I personally believe that's my belief. We are living in privatized world. We are living in more globalized world. The education is most valuable business in current days. But ultimately, education is not a business. We share our knowledge with, not free of cost, but we must decrease the level of payment. That's a very important thing. If I be the part of National Students Union, I definitely raised all these issues, and also students are the leaders. We must addressing other issues what happened around us. Students, those who are refugees, students, those who are they did not access the education. We are gifted. We can study this very big campus, and we can access everything. If we want system, we go to the Templeman Library, we can access. If you want any textbook, you can go the Templeman Library and you can use. But some students can't access this much of facilities. So we share our knowledge. That's important. If I elected as Kent Union President, I wish to integrate all the universities and we develop a students core for giving free education to other students, those who can't access these facilities. We share our knowledge. I do my best for that.
Thank you. This next one is a fun one, I think. What sets you apart from the other candidates? So let's start with Ishmael. What do you think?
I think what sets me apart from other candidates is just, I believe, my experience in terms of working with the Kent Marketing Society, running all these events, working specifically on homelessness. Back when I was 16, I raised £8,000 for a homeless documentary, and be able to talk to homeless individuals and seeing the real struggles of how accommodation affects them every single day. I think that sets me apart because I've seen real struggle in terms of that aspect and how a cost affects people every single day, and how it's affected individuals like me or affected other individuals on campus with rising living costs occurring across the entirety of the UK. That's why it makes me so passionate to fighting for costs to decrease for every single student for next year. And through that passion and that vision, I feel like I'll be the true leader to be able to bring that to light and therefore make it so next year people don't have that same experiences and decrease their burden in terms of the cost at university and have a better experience.
Thank you. Favour, how about you?
Thank you. Well, my current experience. I have so much experience in the current role that I'm in. I'm lobbying for change and actually seeing change, like the CCTV cameras down Elliot footpath on the lighting, as well as my current relationships with major stakeholders, both in Kent Union, in the council, in the police, and of course our university. I love my voice being heard because I know that I'm presenting a case that is necessary. So yeah, that's why I'm set apart.
Thank you. Niven, how about you?
Yeah, I think everyone are very different. I saw before Said, he's very active inside the campus. I saw Favor, I saw Ismail, they are more active. I love everyone, but I am a different person. Truly, I am a different person. If I elected as Kent Union President, I'm dedicated for work with you. I'm not bothered about with the time or how much I am tired or how much I am fatigued or anything. I did not bother about that. If I elected as a leader, I'm ready for work with you. If I am a fair leader, I can't do anything. If I tired, what you can do? So if I am elected, I am too much energetic and I work for. If I am not elected, I am always with you. I am not bothered about the end of the day result. If you face any difficulties inside the campus, anytime, I did not have any power, but I am with you for raising the voice in front of any authorities. I did not fear if I have a power or not. I am never thinking about that. If any student facing any difficulties inside this campus, I am ready to address. If you are right, that's a court thing. If you are right, I am with you. Otherwise, I am not with you. If you are right, I am always with you. I do my best for you. I am fully dedicated leader. I do my best. I have previous experience, worked as a school union and college union and different NGOs. Now I am sitting in international society. I just 4 months came to UK. This is my 4th month inside this campus. This is my 4th month in international journey. So yeah, I proudly say I am a good leader. I am different from all other my friends, but they are gifted. They are eligible for this position. I respect them, but I am a special.
I respect it.
On that note, Zed, what's your part?
You know what? I'm a hustler through and through. I have worked so hard this year and got involved in so many things. I don't get sleep. I don't need sleep. Who needs sleep? We're here to make sure that student voices are heard, and I really genuinely care. I really found myself at Kent, and what sets me apart is I have the experience of both campuses, Medway and Canterbury. I'm able to bring that experience to this role that's never seen it before. We've never had a Medway president before, but we've never had someone who's actually lived in Medway leading Kent Union, and I think that's really, really important. I have done so much. I'm not going to list through my stuff again because you guys are going to get bored. But I do a lot. I work in a lot of different things, and it's all because I genuinely want to make a change and I want to hear what students are thinking. I like to empower students. I want to make sure that they feel like they can take on the world and more. I think my Gemini-ness coming out, I kind of shift myself to make sure that I can make the other person as comfortable as possible. And that's one of my special skills. I'm approachable, I'm personable. You're able to talk to me regardless of who you are or what you stand for. I want to listen to you. I like hearing the different points of views, and I want to make sure that every single student is represented at the highest level in Kent Union. That's what sets me apart.
Thank you. We have one last question for you, actually, which is what makes you the best person to be the spokesperson for minority and underprivileged students at Kent?
So, I am personally part of the BAME community as well, and I know the issues that are faced by people of color all around the world, but specifically in higher education as well. Our access to education, as Ismail already mentioned, coming from a background where we weren't financially stable. I lived in Pakistan for 10 years of my life, and me and my mom, as a single mom, came here and we started from scratch. We built ourselves up. So I know the struggle. I know what students face on a daily basis. I think, 3-4 months ago, I was working 3 jobs because I want to be financially independent to myself. And that's my own thing. But not everyone can do that. It's how can the union support that and facilitate that to be able to give these people who come from underprivileged backgrounds the access to education and the access to the entire university experience that builds them up and sets them up for the rest of their lives.
Thank you. On that note, we're going to move into everyone's closing statements. Thank you for joining. So we'll start with Said. I'm sorry. I just got told dude in the same room, so I was like, let's start with this.
Okay. So I think that I have the experience and the necessary skills needed for this role. I believe I can represent every single student at the highest level and make sure every single voice at Kent is heard. Every one of those 20,000 students are heard. I want to make sure that I'm out there, that I'm approachable, that people know that they can come talk to me. I believe that I know how the union is run. I know how the university is run. I know how Medway is run, Canterbury is run. This experience and knowledge brings a lot to the role. I know I can hit the ground running and make some real change for all of you. And if you believe that too, then vote for me on March 10th.
Thank you. Favor.
Thank you. I want to thank you guys for your support so far in my current role, and I can't wait to take it to the next level. I know that university and union have so many amazing things planned, and I can't wait to just start back into what I'm already doing. So don't forget March 10, 7 to 10 p.m. Favor.
Thank you. Ishmael.
Well, thank you guys for listening to what everyone said here so far. I just want to emphasise the fact that if I'm the candidate that you pick, which I would greatly appreciate on March 10th, I want to have an affordable experience for all university students. I want everyone to be safe, especially with the accident that's been occurring around campus, as everyone heard recently. And I want everyone to have an enjoyable experience that lasts a lifetime. I want to ensure that individuals that came from particular backgrounds that may have suffered financial difficulties can reach the highest of their potentials. Minority individuals that feel like they face discrimination, I want you to feel inclusive, a part of this university, and feel like not only that you're, as you said previously, being tolerated, not that. I want you to be included and be respected. And I want every single person to come out of university not only just a better person, but enjoying every single experience you had at this university. If you vote for me, you're going to vote for a brighter future for University of Kent, and I promise you, I'm going to push every single day to ensure your views are heard. I'm going to have maximum transparency, and I'm sure on March 10th, please vote for me, and I'll make sure there'll be a brighter future.
Thank you. Finally, Nibin.
Hi. Finally, I am the last. If you want a proud leader, I am the right person. If you want a dedicated leader, I am the right person. At the end of the day, our main aim is graduate ourselves from the university. I know you are facing some difficulties in your academic work. You need more support from your lecturers. You need more support from others. Yeah, I will raise voice for you. I know some students are very active in cultural activities. they want more venues inside the campus. They want to show their abilities inside the campus and outside the campus. Yeah, if I elected as student union president, I will arrange a venue for you. I know lots of students are inside the campus, they are like the sports events, but they did not get the proper opportunity inside the campus. If I elected as president, I solved that problem. I know some students want to become an entrepreneur, some students want to become a scientist, yes, some students want to become a Nobel Prize winner. Yeah, I will support for you, everyone. If you have any difficulties, I am with you, always I am with you. This is not words, I am believing my actions. I am always with you, I am always inside this campus on 24 hours if I am elected as Student Union President. If you face any difficulties inside this campus, I am ready to work with 24 hours without any complaint or anything. I am with you always. If you vote for me, I not sure a bright future or anything. I am a realistic person, I am a human. I did not know the magic, but I know some change. I believe in some change. I will show that change in front of you. I will prove my ability in front of you. I am ready to work with you. Please vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for taking part and answering all the questions. Thank you to everyone who joined and watched. This is the final debate with any of the candidates. Voting will open on March 10th, so please go and vote either online or at the plaza. And yes, thank you all for watching. My name is Tarini Tiwari. This has been KTV's coverage of the student union debates. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.